Today we're going to be talking about internet sales teams and what they really are. So an internet sales team is going to be different from your traditional sales team. This team, your internet sales team, should be considered your communication hub for your dealership. They're going to be doing all of the outreach. They're going to be managing all of the leads that come into your dealership. If you run a dealership or if you manage a dealership, I'm sure you are receiving internet leads, phone up leads. This is the type of lead that your internet sales department should be handling. Now, this is going to be very different from your belly-to-belly sales that happens on the sales floor that your traditional sales team usually and typically manages. But what this is going to look like is this is going to look like a communication hub for your dealership that is continuously doing outreach to all of your customers that haven't made it to your dealership yet. And the goal for this department should be to drive traffic for your sales team or drive traffic to your dealership. So why is it crucial for dealerships to have a dedicated team or team members to handle and manage online leads in today's market? Realistically, today's shopper and today's consumer is shopping online. Before they even decide which dealership that they're working with, they are looking and researching 3 to 5 dealers online, probably even more now. But they are researching on average 5 dealers online, which means out of that 5, you can almost guarantee that they are submitting forms or submitting their information to 2 to 3 of those dealerships. So what does that mean for you? That means that it is a race. It is a race to see what dealership can get in contact with this customer first, because that dealership is likely going to be the one that earns their business. So making sure that you have somebody dedicated to manage or handle these leads and be prepared to do outreach immediately once that lead hits your CRM is crucial for making sure that you capture that lead and turn that lead into a customer. So another crucial point to that is this is going to actually be your dealership's first impression to this customer. So making sure that you are doing multiple different touch points, making sure that you have the right type of personality on the other end of that conversation is going to be key to setting a great first impression with that customer and hopefully getting them to come to your dealership versus your competitor. Now, in the past, internet leads have not been considered as important as a showroom lead, and this really isn't the case anymore. In this day and age, most dealers are getting more online traffic. If not all dealers are getting more online traffic than showroom traffic. And so the best way to make sure and guarantee that you are getting more showroom traffic is to treat your internet leads just as important, just as efficiently as you would a showroom up. And that way you can capture that lead and bring them into your dealership, turn them into a customer. Now, building the right structure for your internet sales department. Just like a traditional sales team, an internet sales team should have a sales manager and should have sales reps. Okay, these reps are going to be considered either an internet specialist, a lead specialist, maybe a BDC, a representative, or a BDR. This individual should be the playmaker in the department. Okay, they should be somebody who is hammering out phone calls, somebody who is consistently touching new leads, who is having multiple touch points on all of the leads that come into your CRM. So this is going to be somebody who is self-driven. Maybe they have a bright personality, somebody who can take some constructive criticism, isn't afraid of utilizing some scripting. These are going to be the type of key players you want in your internet department, handling and managing your leads to turn those leads into customers. Okay. Now, the internet sales manager, this individual, they're the coach. Okay. They should already be trained on how to utilize scripting. They should be trained on whatever process you guys have in play. Know that it's not a one and done type scenario for your leads. And what I mean by that is you don't want an individual who is going to call the lead the first day and then not follow up after that. Okay, this is going to be, your manager is going to be somebody who is holding that team accountable, reviewing metrics, and is ready to coach the team members where it's needed, and always listening in for teachable moments. Now, something else that these players should do, these managers, is be prepared to take a TO. Just like you would on the sales floor, you're going to see a turnover or a transition of opportunity on the sales floor. We can't get that customer to the next step. It should be the same for your internet leads. If your rep cannot get that customer to agree to come into your dealership, you want your manager trained and prepared and ready to either jump in and take over a phone call or be ready to have your internet sales rep give that TO to your manager so they can take a swing at bringing that customer into your dealership. Now, how can dealers ensure that team members are trained to manage and follow up on leads effectively? This is extremely important. An internet lead is not going to be followed up on or managed the same as a belly to belly or a showroom up lead would be. Okay, an internet lead should be focused on motivating your customers to come into the dealership. And the best way to make sure that your reps are utilizing motivation versus information on the phone is going to be ongoing training. Okay, you want to have phone and email etiquette, making sure there's no, mistakes in their email, have an email that's going to stand out to your customers. As far as phone etiquette, scripting comes into play, and it is very, very effective if it's done correctly. Obviously, nobody wants to sound like a robot, so making sure that you're utilizing your scriptive effectively and efficiently is going to be key there. Another way to make sure that your team members are trained to manage and follow up on leads effectively is have your reps understand and know how to utilize the CRM in and out. Have a process in play that every single rep is utilizing so that you can measure metrics the same across the board. Most CRMs out there, if you perform a phone call differently, if you send out an email in a different way, it won't measure on reports across the board. So making sure that there is a process that can be measured that every single internet sales rep is trained on is going to be key to finding those teachable moments, holding the team accountable, making sure productivity goals are being hit. So that's very important. Now, objection handling. Objections are going to happen. Just as they happen on the floor, they're going to happen on the phone. So knowing how to avoid triggering an objection is going to be key, but also understanding how to overcome and move past an objection on the phone to continuously try to move your customer to an appointment is going to help your team turn those leads into customers. And that's really important. Typically, what you see with internet sales reps who aren't prepared, who don't go through ongoing training, you'll see that once they hit an objection or a roadblock, they give up. Okay. If you're having your reps give up on that first hurdle or give up after an objection because they don't know how to overcome it, then we're failing, right? We're kind of failing our team. So we need to give them the tools of how to overcome this. And there's a lot of great information out there. If maybe you don't know, there's a lot of great information out there of how to overcome objections effectively over the phone, which might be a resource that you want to use if you don't have that type of skill set yet with your own reps in your departments. Next is going to be speed to lead strategies. So making sure that you have a team who is able to be prepared, who is able to respond quickly as these leads come in. I like to say 15 to 30 minutes is going to be that sweet spot for responding to leads. This lead, if you're responding within the first 15 minutes, likely that lead is still on their phone shopping. Whether they're shopping your dealership, they're shopping another dealership, they are likely still doing their research on their phone. Okay, we call that the shopping process. Now, what that means for you is one, you got them while they're still actively looking. So that customer's excitement level is through the roof. And two, you have a chance to stop them in their tracks from continuously shopping. And the best way to do that is to set an appointment for your dealership. Now, there's a bunch of different ways that you can set an appointment that is going to be effective. One little trick is avoid saying appointment. That right there, that's a terrible way to set an appointment. But there's a bunch of different ways. The appointment funnel is going to be one of them. But what you can do is stop that customer from shopping, stop them from shopping, and stop them from doing any more research online. And the best way to do that is get in contact with that customer, create a relationship with them, earn their trust, and get them to commit to coming into your dealership. Now, keep in mind, process is the profit, okay? You need to get your process laid out of your head and into a system, okay? What processes should be in place to handle leads as they come in? Like I talked about, immediate response within 15 to 30 minutes. Again, 15 minutes is going to be that sweet spot. That is going to be key to a solid process. All right, now multi-channel follow-up. Now, we like to do multiple touches with our customer. It's going to help you figure out the best way to communicate with each individual. But phone, text, and email should happen on day one every single time. Phone first, okay? If you've got an internet rep that is shying away from utilizing the phone, they're not in the right position. Okay, so phone first every time. We should be calling all leads. If we can't engage with them or connect with them in that phone call, then a text and an email should follow immediately. And that's just going to be the very first outreach. The process that I have seen be extremely successful across the board for dealers across the nation is going to be the 21-day follow-up process. This is going to include multiple touches. Now, the 21-day follow-up is a process and a workflow put in place that has been repeated numerous times for numerous years and has been found to be extremely successful in creating engagement with your customers. So what that means for you is it is a plan, a 21-day plan to continuously outreach to customers who have not responded, who we have not connected with yet, to try to create engagement and still capture that lead. So what we found is after about 21 days, that lead falls off for a couple different reasons, right? The excitement level has dropped. Maybe they're not as interested in getting a vehicle or a unit. Maybe they've bought elsewhere. But after that 3 week mark, we tend to see less success. This does vary depending on the type of dealership metric. That's what we see. Harley, we've seen it go a little bit longer than that. They're a little bit of a slower process buyer, which is okay. But in the first 21 days of that lead, they are going to be very crucial to try to capture and connect with them while they're still hot, while they're still excited. So what you'll see in that first day of the 21-day follow-up is multi-touches throughout the day at different times of the day to try to create engagement with that customer. All right, so making sure that you're utilizing all of those multi-channels, to try to create engagement with your customer. Now, a structured cadence. So that kind of ties back into the 21-day follow-up, making sure that you have a plan in place. Does that look like 10 touches in a week? Does that look like 3 touches in one day? What does that look like for you? Again, one that I have found to be successful is that 21-day workflow or 21-day follow-up. Which you can find or reach out, and I'm happy to send that to you. But that is going to be key to engage with your customers. And then last but not least, an appointment setting script. All right, last but not least, an appointment setting script. Scripting is key. A script is going to help you do multiple things within your internet department. So an appointment setting script is going to be key to managing your internet leads, okay? It's consistent. It's not, we're not winging it per customer. You want a similar type response to all of your customers. So making sure that you have a script that is geared towards appointment setting. Okay, all of the leads that are coming into your dealership should have the same goal, and that is the same goal, which should be to turn them into customers. The best way to do that is to get them to commit to your dealership by setting an appointment. Now, if we go into every phone call and wing it, we're going to have multiple different outcomes. We're not going to remember what works and what doesn't. So having a script is going to help you have a process that is going to make you profit. Okay, it's going to help you have a process that wins, and that's the goal. Now, how can dealerships use CRM systems to track and improve lead management? That's easy. A CRM isn't a filing cabinet. It should be a playbook. This should also be your virtual assistant that you don't have to pay. Okay, so using it to set tasks and reminders, utilizing any type of automation, which would tie into workflows, any outbound campaign outreach, email blast, text blast. This is going to be key to help stay in the front of your customer's mind. This is also going to track touches and conversation stages. So just like you see on the sales floor, right, we move them through a certain step process. You should be able to see that with your internet leads. You want to know how many leads came in, how many were contacted, how many were sent to an appointment, who came in for their appointment, and how many of those appointments sold. Those are the metrics that you should be reporting. Okay, you want to keep track of all of that, and utilizing your CRM will help you do that. And then spot patterns. You can spot when a customer drops off. If you have the option to do any type of phone recording, you could also use that as coaching moments for your dealerships. But utilize your CRM. Make sure your reps are trained on it. Make sure your managers are trained on it. That way you can use it for its purpose, which is way you can use it to its full advantages. What are some of the most common mistakes I see happening within internet departments? I have worked with numerous internet departments across the nation, and what I see kind of kill the department the most is going to be complacency. Okay, staying in your comfort zone, not really trying to make an effort to change or try new things, and that's going to kill your internet department. Just as the digital age is ever evolving, so should your internet department. They should be evolving with trends. Sometimes we are incapacitated by weather, etc., but they should always be evolving and staying ahead of trends. Now, some things that I see affect the complacency is not having as much accountability in the department as there should be, tracking what their productivity looks like, having a manager in there ready to take TOs, having somebody in there to hold them accountable for each phone call. Typically, what I see with internet departments is a very similar conversation starter that goes across the board. Okay, new lead comes in, rep reaches out and calls the new lead, and they say, "Hey, this is Heather with Easygoing Powersports. I'm reaching out because you submitted a lead on our Razor 1000, and I just want to see if you had any questions on that. How can I help you with it?" That type of conversation isn't structured. It's not going to lead to an appointment, and it is not controlling any type of narrative or any conversation. It is throwing all of that control into the customer's lap. Now, it's very important when you reach out to a customer, that you control the conversation. And the best way to control the conversation is going to be by asking questions, but you don't want to ask just any question like, how can I help you? Or do you have any questions about that? Now, what are some of the most common mistakes that dealerships make when setting up an internet department? So what I see across the board is there's no process. There's no structured process. They're kind of just winging it. They're not really taking into account what this internet rep is doing that they're throwing into this position. They're just telling them, hey, follow up on these leads. So making sure that you have a defined process, okay? How are they following up with these leads? When do they need to follow up with them? How many times do you want them touching them before they take them off of their organizer or their calendar for follow-up? This is going to be very important to make sure that you have a defined and structured process. Best way to do that is see what has been successful in the past. Okay, don't just go willy-nilly and try to set it up yourself and think that you know best. Look at what some of the experts have done, look at what has been proven, and use that. Or use a format or structure of that, something similar as a basis so that you can really build something that's going to be successful. And this will also avoid you having to try to figure it out and go through the ups and downs of what works and what doesn't work. Another thing is poor CRM usage. You guys pay for your CRMs, hold your teams accountable to use them. Okay, I've seen it across the board. Day in and day out, reps are not utilizing their CRM. Are all of your inbound phone calls making it in there? Probably not. Are all of the communications that are happening or communication touches happening make it in there? Probably not. So hold your teams accountable. Make sure that you are getting the most out of that CRM, because this is going to help you measure where some coaching moments might be. Now, hiring floor salespeople to do the digital job. This is kind of, there's a 50-50 weigh in on this, right? Some people think that floor salespeople can do an internet job. Others think that they absolutely cannot. Now, if you're going to hire a floor sales guy or a floor sales specialist to be in the internet department, you and they have to understand those are two completely different hats. Okay, on the sales floor, your salesman is building the excitement. They have the vehicle in front of them, so they are able to give all the information. Yeah, it's got X, Y, and Z on it. It's built with this, so on and so forth. I have this color, that color, and that color. Now on the phone, it is going to be a complete 180. Okay. If you have somebody working your leads on the phone, you don't want them giving all the information over the phone. You want them to be motivational, not informational. Okay. That is extremely important. If you have an individual who is looking up your inventory when they have a lead on the phone or a customer on the phone, and they're looking up your inventory saying, yeah, I've got two left. I've got a red one and a black one. This is the exact price of them. They are giving all the information. They are showing all of the cards over the phone and not giving your customer any reason to come to the dealership. So making sure that your sales guy can switch those hats on and off if you're going to hire from your sales floor for the internet department, it's going to be crucial to making sure that those leads actually make it into your dealership. Okay. And then last but not least, thinking that more leads is going to solve your problem. More leads is not the issue. Okay. A lead is a lead is a lead. How it is worked and how it is managed is going to make the difference as to whether or not that lead is turned into a customer. So again, make sure that you guys have an individual who is trained, make sure that you have a defined process, and they're being held accountable as they're working and managing these leads. All right. Now, how can managers prevent their teams from falling into that comfort zone? That's super easy. Track your KPIs. All right. So making sure that your teams don't fall into that comfort zone is going to actually be very easy. Track their KPIs. Make sure that they are being productive. A solid, well-trained sales rep should be easily making 10 calls an hour. This is going to be for the metric side. For the Harley side, it's typically going to be closer to five or eight, because they're not only making phone calls, they're also doing videos, etc. So for my metric dealers, 10 calls an hour for a rep should be easily obtained. Keep in mind, that doesn't mean that they're talking to 10 people. That just means that they are trying to connect with 10 different leads within the hour. Okay, so track KPIs weekly, daily, however you want to do it. Another way is to listen to calls regularly. This is very important. Listening to your calls and understanding what your customers are actually hearing on the other end is very, very important. This is going to help you find coaching moments for your rep. It's going to help you understand whether or not this rep is giving up the first time they get pushback from a customer. And this is going to help you figure out how to best move your rep forward or teach them how to turn over a phone call. As an internet rep, knowing that your calls are going to be listened to usually lights a little bit of a fire under you. Okay. They're going to make sure they're following the process. They're going to make sure they're taking their swings at bringing that customer into the dealership. They're going to push hard to utilize rebuttals and try to overcome objections. So listen to calls regularly, review them with the team, review them with the individual, however you want to do it, and use that as coaching moments or teachable moments with your rep. That way you can just continuously help their growth. Now, something else you can do is celebrate small wins. Okay. If let's say your internet department had a goal of setting 10 appointments that day, great, celebrate it. Let's say that maybe they didn't hit their appointment goal, but they superseded or exceeded they didn't hit their appointment goal, but they exceeded their call goal, their outbound call goal that you had set. Great, celebrate it. Everything starts with the phone call. So if you could keep that in mind and push that onto your reps, it's going to help you be able to celebrate those small wins, even if you guys aren't hitting goals that you did have planned. Now, another thing you can do to avoid overcomplicating your process is have a simple script. Okay. Once you start getting into the nitty-gritty and the conversation could go this way or the conversation could go that way. You want a very simple, easy to follow script that is repeatable. It helps your reps get to the end goal, which should be an appointment. Okay. Should be a commitment from your dealership, commitment from your customer to come to your dealership. Okay. And then last but not least, reset expectations every 30 days. So we all live by the first half of the month, second half of the month. Make sure that you are resetting goals and expectations every 30 days, whether it's a productivity goal, it is a sold goal or an appointment set or appointment kept goal. Make sure that you are setting those to give your reps something new to work towards each month. Measuring matters, okay? So you want to always inspect what you expect, okay? Make sure that your dealership is measuring the metrics of your internet department, whether it's an individual, whether it's a manager, whether it's the department themselves, okay? Measure input, processes, and outcomes, okay? So that's going to include lead response time. You should be holding your reps accountable for a nice and low lead response time. This is going to help your leads that you're paying for be captured and turned into customers. Contact rate. Know how many customers that your reps are talking to. Appointment set rates, that's very, very important. How many of these contacts are actually turning into appointments for your dealership? How many of those appointments that they're setting are turning into shows? And then how many of those shows are being sold? These are going to be all the different metrics that you want to measure and keep track of and make sure that it's looked at regularly and used. So if you want to see more of your leads turn into actual customers, you've got to start treating these leads as if they are in your dealership. Okay, you've got to treat them as importantly as you do your showroom ups. All right, so one action step, audit your lead follow-up process this week. Okay, take a look as to what's going on. I do offer complimentary mystery shops so that you can kind of see what that looks like for your team. But how fast are they responding? What type of touches are they doing in that first 15 minutes? How long does it take to actually make that first phone call? So one action step that you can do this week is audit your follow-up process. Okay, take a look and see how fast your internet leads are being responded to. Take a look and make sure all of them are being responded to, because most of the time they're not. Is there a consistent messaging going out? Is it different based off of who's following up with that lead? Okay, that's going to be your starting point. Really audit that. And that is going to help you get a better understanding as to where you need to start in your internet department to start shaping it and molding it to drive traffic to your dealership.
Still guessing what to pay on a used bike? Still holding aged units that just won't move? It's time for a real system. Moto Hunt's ultimate used inventory playbook shows how the best dealers are finding better inventory, pricing trades right, and turning used bikes faster with fewer mistakes and more margin. It's short, real, and free to download right now. Visit dealers.motohunt.com to grab your copy or check for the link in the notes.